Hi everyone, I'm Katie Cologna, and today we are going to be discussing animal welfare. As many of you have probably seen this week on social media or news, there was a discovery of a mass animal abuse scandal involving the Fairlife dairy producer, Fair Oaks Farms. It was discovered by an employee of an animal rights activist group who went undercover at the farm as an employee and recorded employees beating the calves, stomping on them, killing them, throwing them into piles, and snorting cocaine on the job. A video like this is just what activists needed in order to push further change. For years, they've been looking to change the dairy industry, and this video is the proof that they needed to show consumers in order to have a bigger activist group. So delving deeper into the reason these activists are fighting for animal rights in the first place is the welfare of these animals. Now, there's 3 questions that pertain to animal welfare. And each of these questions roughly correlates to specific groups. For example, people caring for the animals on the farm, usually the employees, are most concerned with the first question, being, is the animal functioning well? The reason is that they can not only assure that the animal's health is safe from diseases, but that the animal is still healthy enough to benefit the farm and produce in a profitable way. Then there are some people who are truly concerned with the well-being of the emotional state of the animal. They would ask a question of, is the animal feeling well? And lastly, there's the third question, is the animal able to live according to nature? Often organic consumers question this because they're concerned as to whether or not the animal producing the product that they are consuming is able to roam freely or live naturally as if they weren't in captivity. Now, if you were paying attention to me a few minutes ago or a minute ago, you would remember the first question, which was, is the animal functioning well? It is not uncommon for there to be high rates of mortality in association with poor quality of life of these animals. Unfortunately, lameness and a stage called transitional cow are 2 illnesses dairy cows suffer from due to their living conditions. And in order for there to be any improvement in the lives of these cows, it's on the management procedure at these farms. So studies show that 24% of cows are clinically lame, and that they are caused by infectious diseases such as foot rot or lesions in the horns or claws. In order to prevent this, management of these farms would have to change the concrete floors, the tight and uncomfortable living spaces, and allow the animals to have free grazing time. And ideas presented primarily from the activist group are seen as subjective to only them, but they like to acknowledge that it will not only benefit the cow but benefit the industry, because if the cow is healthy, then it is going to be turning over more production. In the Fair Oaks Farm video, you saw that cows, or if you saw the video, saw that cows were being beaten by the employees. And going off of question 1, the well-being of the cow, employees in that video were not doing the correct thing. They should have been trying to do the best they could to have low mortality rates at their farm, yet they were not only affecting the physiological effects of the animal, but also the psychological. So that brings us into the question of, is the animal feeling well? Dairy cows can be affected, like I said, both physiologically and psychologically. And psychologically, they're often stressed due to their tight surroundings and their inability to roam or lack of attention to their health. But there's two defining moments in a majority of dairy cows' lives that they have to experience, and that is the dehorning and tail docking process. Both are considerably painful to the calves, and during the procedure, they are only given a local anesthetic called lidocaine, which has been proven to not fully mitigate the pain, lasting only a few hours and leaving the cow to recover in pain. Yet research shows that a combination of a sedative, local anesthetic, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug following the procedure would not only reduce the pain significantly, but the procedure significantly. It would make it easier for the farmers to do the procedure, since the cow would be further sedated, and the recovery process would be not as nuanced, since the cow would not be crying out as much due to them having less pain. Now, there's obviously things that a cow can't do on a factory farm that they would experience in nature. And that leads us to our last question. Is the animal able to live according to its nature? Traditionally, calves excel when they are ingesting more milk and when they have more access to milk. It is natural for them to be connected to the cow that birthed them. So when they only are getting fed roughly twice a day out of a spout, they're not developing as they should. So research shows that the combination of nipple feeding and access to routine feeding would increase development of milk production. And pasture access would also increase the psychological effects of the cow. So in an experiment where dairy cows were given the ability to roam either in a stable or in the pasture, they chose to go outside when it was cool out and go in the stables when it was warm out, because there was no shade outside. There's also some natural behaviors of cows that just don't mesh well with the overall production of the dairy industry. There's often aggressive interactions between the cows, which can take place in a pasture, but often are taking place indoors because they are in such confined spaces, and there's either competition for space or food or socialization. And this also could be solved if, again, management procedures changed and gave the cows more feeding space or gave them individual food stalls. So what I'd like to say is, without these questions, it would be hard for any of us to analyze the actual well-being of animals today. And even with these questions, there's still the obstacle of the corporation's profit. The three questions are not only vital to animal welfare, but they do much more than that. Due to the current climate of the animal food production industry, these questions unveil the brutalities that animals experience on a daily basis. And typically that's not something the consumer would experience or see. And so today, that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to do more than just show you the video. I wanted to inform you. But I also hope that you were able to see the impact that the video did have in just 1 week. It's not only publicized to all the outlets and boosted activist movements, but it's opened the eyes of consumers. It sparked their interest, whether it be horrifying or interested or whatever it may be. It opened their eyes, and it doesn't necessarily mean that consumer is going to jump in with all the fellow activists and fight for change, but there is something to be said about not being ignorant to the way your food is being produced and the treatment of the animals that are doing the producing of the food you're consuming. So if anything, today I wanted to give more information on and background on the short video that was released showing the cruelty to these animals, but I also hope it, if anything, it makes people think again before trusting to buy, let's say, the cheaper milk option, to think about where they are getting their milk from, who is producing it, how it is being produced, how the animals are being treated, and whether or not you agree with it, just being able to make the conscious decision of knowing where your food comes.